Hello, fellow mere humans. Do you want to be captivating, irresistible, alluring, a Marilyn Monroe, a Grace Jones, a Monica Bellucci? Well, if you're like me, then you gotta work to be these things. You have to manifest and finesse all of this in order to be something more, something ethereal. Welcome to How to Be Ethereal Beauty Bootcamp. So when I say beauty, I don't necessarily mean beauty in the physical sense, even though physicality and physical attractiveness can have a lot to do with it. I'm talking more so about beauty as a spiritual medium. I'm talking about beauty that you feel more than see. For example, Cleopatra, one of the most famous seducers in history, was not necessarily known for her good looks, despite what people may tell you. She was known more so for her voice and her theatricality. I want to share a kind of beauty that I feel like is lost on some people today. Or if they do see it, maybe they don't quite understand it or why it captivates them in the way that it does. The first part of this video is called the fundamentals of beauty. So the two things that I have noticed in my own research and in my own experience, the two most fundamental things that I've noticed in beautiful people are two elements, which are grace and indifference. Grace, by, I guess, my definition of how I see it and its application to beauty, is the ease in which you interact with others and your surroundings. And then indifference is then a byproduct of grace, but kind of becomes a devil all its own. Indifference is one of the key things, probably more so than grace, I'd say, in especially feeling ethereal. Indifference is basically not caring too much about what other people think of you and doing things your way. And when it's done effectively, indifference comes off as charisma and not selfishness, which is extremely important. You don't want to come off as somebody that's rude or uncouth. You want to be somebody that people look to with amazement. Someone who possesses both grace and indifference are what I like to call masters of time. And the reason why I say this is because when you mix that ease of interaction and that distance from others, you get this feeling of the ethereal, of being from another world, of being set apart from other people. This feeling of not abiding by the laws of this world. That is where this elevates you to a place where people can kind of adore you and look at you with reverence. Above all, before you enter into this, the rest of this, and if you're really serious about it, you need to understand that beauty is a discipline and nothing less. Put in your 10,000 hours. Treat it like any craft that you have to master. It is that, just that, a kind of craft, a thing to master. You wake up with it, you leave the house with it, you go to bed with it. Take it seriously. So with that, we can move forward to the rest. So now that we have a more clear reason why you're here, what I'm talking about, we can go on to something that is the kind of more fundamental part of beauty and establishing beauty within you. And that is respecting your body and respecting the self. I'm going to look at my laptop and I'm going to read some quotes to you from a very, very insightful book. I wonder if this is going to get me demonetized. It's called The Sacred Prostitute. It is a book that combines the observations of Carl Jung and some history on goddess cults, mother cults, and the actual act of sacred prostitution. If you're interested in that, I'll leave a link below, or feel free to just look it up. The self, therefore the totality of personality, rightly bears the attributes of the exterior physical sex, whose hormonal condition is closely connected with the psychological. Your beauty derives from a vital connection to the self. Rather than trying to dominate your life, your ego works together with the self. You are not contaminated by the external circumstances or overly affected by criticism. You find your body beautiful, and you are consciously aware that it is a manifestation of the self. You care for your body with nutrition and exercise and enjoy the ceremonies of bathing, cosmetics, and dress. So you might be thinking, oh, Celine, that was a lot. What does all that mean? Basically, taking care of yourself, like keeping up with your body, having a proper diet, wearing makeup, dressing well, has nothing to do necessarily with your ego, but it has everything to do with respecting your body and showing your inner self, your personality. And it is, most importantly, a ritual to this self. It is a dedication to the self. When you own an object, for example, that means a great deal to you. You don't just leave it on a shelf for it to collect dust. You take care of it because you're respecting the meaning that it has to you. You do the same thing with your outward appearance and your body. Basically, your outward appearance needs a little bit of TLC so that the inner self has a little bit of an easier journey on the way to the surface. I'm also talking good hygiene too, but that should be going without saying. In addition to taking care of yourself physically, I feel the need to also say that you should take care of your brain too. Intelligence plays a huge role in all of this. Now, there are many different types of intelligence. There are 9, apparently, different kinds of intelligence, and everyone has a kind of better grip on at least one of them. But going into those 9 different kinds of intelligence are not going to prove of any aid to me to get the point across that you should just not be an idiot. Now, there are beautiful, dazzling idiots out there that have stolen the hearts of many people. And that's all fine and dandy. But in my version of this boot camp, I do not have any kind of tolerance for genuine idiocy or lack of self-reflection. In my opinion, I do not think that being dumb or stupid has any kind of long-term effect that is positive. If anything, it's a very ephemeral thing, and it's tossed away at the slightest inconvenience. Basically, all I'm going to say about this part, read a book. Get a journal and write down all of your experiences and how they affect you. Watch the 10 best movies ever made and then watch videos picking them apart. Merge different disciplines and see how they relate. Expand your experience. Teach your body to lust for knowledge. There is nothing more captivating or provoking than beauty and brains. Now, it's possible during this, you're probably already thinking, oh, Celine, I'm too nervous of a person. I'm way too awkward. Well, believe me, I'm no stranger to that, okay? This is so heavily scripted that you can probably tell, because I'm a terrible public speaker. I cannot speak in front of a camera, much less a couple of people. So I'm definitely no stranger to that. But that's why I've been talking about things like loving yourself, taking care of yourself, about indifference and grace, and how long it takes, the discipline that it takes, the dedication that it takes to get there. If you dedicate yourself to taking care of your body, your confidence is going to rise. It just will. If you take the time to enrich yourself and gather knowledge that makes you proud, then you will start to realize that your gratification stops coming from proving yourself to other people, but it starts coming from your little accomplishments. Your merit is going to rise as a person the more effort and work that you put into it, because you feel that you deserve the confidence that you've garnered because you put in the work. Now, aside from that, we are human, okay? We make mistakes, and it's completely fine. The worst thing that you can do, though, is dwell on it, okay? If you do something silly and you make a fool out of yourself, do not express it vocally. Cry inwardly, or feel the embarrassment inwardly, or when you go home, but do not drag it on further. And also, the best thing, the best antidote to embarrassment is humor. Laugh at yourself. Be the first person to laugh. Laugh it off, and people they will forget, okay? They will forget much, much quicker than you will. So just let it go. So the first half of this video, which you just got through, congratulations, is kind of all work and no play. But the second half, part 2, is beauty and theater. This is where you get to really be creative and experimental. So beauty and theater go hand in hand. Beauty really thrives in a kind of theatrical environment. Theater is where the obvious and the mysterious are, where truth and lies are, light and dark, the kind of yin and yang of all things that captivate, lure, and ensnare. And if you want to be ethereal, you have to be able to balance between these two halves of a whole. And these are the 5 steps that you need to cover before you step on stage. Just gotta do a little quick hairbrush break. So, persona means mask in Latin. So, what mask do you wear? What character are you? How do you leave an imprint on somebody? How do you appear to others? You need to have a pretty solid character or persona in order to be someone that's ethereal and beautiful. So if you're a character in a video game, what would you look like? What's your personality? What are your talents? What are the favorite things that you like to do? What's your backstory? Philosophy on life? Special skills? If your friends had to describe you, how would they? Also, feel free to embellish a little bit, especially with strangers. Remember that it's a theater, so you can hide what you want and you can show what you want. Have fun with it. No one wants Mary in the middle. All right, I'm going to keep this brief because this is pretty much totally up to you. But when it comes to your appearance, go all the way. Remember whenever I was talking about beauty and the self and how your outward appearance should reflect your inner self? Well, we've come full circle, ladies. Bring what is inside, outside, and nourish it. Basically, who are you? And how does it translate to makeup, clothing, skin, hair, jewelry, all of those things, and maintain it. Maintain it, do it every day until it becomes second nature to you. Keep the illusion. Okay, so this next category is actually 2 categories, and we're going to be talking about movement and language. Now, when it comes to movement, physicality can definitely hold a gaze for a very long time, but that's not enough. There's a reason why mannequins are creepy. You can be beautiful and stylish and cool and all that jazz, but it doesn't mean anything if you just are like stiff like a 2x4. If your body language is severely lacking, you just come off as plastic and lifeless and dull. Also a reason why it's called body language. You're communicating on a lower frequency than actual language. And because of that, body language is usually associated with more carnal instincts. So I definitely advise caution when it comes to using body language. So aside from that, you need to know that your body says what words cannot. Use your body as a way to evoke your personality and who you are within, or just say what you want to say without saying it. I'll give you an example. Marilyn Monroe used to shorten one of her heels just a little bit so that whenever she walked, she would teeter back and forth breathlessly, like she was going to just fall into a man's arms. And if you have ever watched a movie or an interview with Marilyn Monroe in it, you would understand that that's very, very indicative of her personality. It makes sense. She's very bubbly and kind of aloof. And it makes sense, her body language makes sense with her actual personality. So now that we're done talking about body language, we're going to talk about its opposite, which is actual language. It's important to know that language is a tool of deception. It is a medium for misdirection. Yes, you can tell the truth with words, but language is always inherently lost in translation. The idea from your head to another person can't always be salvaged. So, use language for its intended purpose, to prop up your persona. You either use language florally or directly. There's definitely an art to how you speak and what you say. The speed at which you say something, when you speak and when you don't speak, when you say no, but you mean yes, the actual gravity of rhetoric. Try to be as fluid as you can when you speak, and try to be ambiguous too. No one wants word vomit. It gets tiring and overwhelming. Basically, say what you want to say and say it concisely. Also, having a decent vocabulary definitely helps. Just try and figure out how your persona translates into the things that you say. All right, guys, here we are. We're at the end. Was that so terrible? I'll tell you, filming this was pretty hard. Basically, with everything that we just talked about, you're basically ready to step out onto the stage and give your performance. After all that discipline and time I said to put in, right? Basically, tie a big bow over that shit and just give it your best. Remember that you're human, and it's okay if you mess up. This takes time, okay? There's a reason why in my YouTube bio it says the apprentice to beauty and discipline and not the master, because I am not a master. I am learning with you. I'm doing my best. I'm on this journey with you guys too. For example, I originally had done this video in a series, and it was so terrible looking back on it because my public speaking skills are absolute shit. And I just didn't put in the time to write a script for everything, which takes time and a lot of effort. Like, the script for this video was like a 7-page essay that I had to write just to talk in front of a camera, I need to be scripted in order to get what's up here to you, so that whole lost in translation thing. I was babbling in front of the camera for it must have been probably hours altogether. It was terrible. So I had to show some respect to this video and the content of this video and do this and write the script and get all dolled up for all of you and really put effort into this, because I think it's one of the most important things that I've learned as a woman and as just a person, as an artist. I think it's very important. So anyway, that's it. Like I said, I don't really know how to end videos, so I'm just going to say thank you for watching this. Thank you if you watched all the way through. I tried to be as concise as possible to keep your attention and try and make what I was saying fun and entertaining. Let me know how you felt about this video in the comments, and I will see you guys next Wednesday. Goodbye.